Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be talking about the 10 things I wish I had known about IVF. Got my list right here. So let's dive in. Number 1, time frames. Every person's time frame is going to be completely different. So a cycle can typically be a regular period to period type cycle, which can vary 21 to 28 days. It can be 1.5 cycles. It can also be 2 months. In my case, it is going to be around 2 months from the point of starting to the point of implantation, and that is because of the stimulation drugs that you have to inject for 8 to 12 days, the egg retrieval process, and then we opted to have genetic testing done to our embryos, and that can take a number of weeks. But the other mitigating part is when your period shows up, and we'll get to that in a couple of minutes. Number 2, insurance. So this is a fun topic for everyone. IVF is expensive. Money, money, money. So you really want to check with your insurance before you start any kind of cycle for IVF to make sure that you have some sort of coverage. And if you don't set up a financial plan, that you will be able to continue with the process of going through with everything, because you don't want to get started and then not be financially cleared and unable to keep going, because that can happen depending on the clinic. This brings us to number 3. In some states, IVF prices are capped. So if you are fortunate in that you live somewhere where it already is capped, you don't have to worry about this. But in case you didn't know, you can travel to another state if you want to have your treatment there, if it's going to cost you potentially $20,000 less than it would in another state, because yes, the difference can be that significant. So if you are interested in doing that, I definitely suggest you look into it. Fertility IQ is a great place to look up fertility doctors all around, and that might be able to give you a better idea as to doctors close to you or doctors that might be able to fit more into your family's budget. Alright, number 4, the shots themselves don't all come pre-mixed. I felt like an alchemist by the end of this process, and we were learning how to do all of this in our kitchen ourselves. It kind of felt like we were in Harry Potter a little bit, maybe like Wingardium Leviosa, and then you all of a sudden had your needles and medicine floating in the air and everything was really magical. So some of the shots need to be refrigerated, and those do come pre-mixed generally, but some of them come in powdered vials and a diluent that you have to mix together, and then make sure that there's no air bubbles in the needle itself before you administer the shot each day. You will be sent, hopefully, videos by your clinic as to how to properly do this. Watch the videos. Just watch the videos. It's really going to help you out. Number 5, some of the shots burn. And when I mean burn, I mean burn. Like burn, baby, burn. It hurts when it is going in. So be aware that not all the shots are going to feel that great. But that brings me to a very quick number 6, in that get a numbing cream or a lidocaine cream or rub for wherever you're going to administer that shot, because it actually does help significantly mitigate that pain, and in some cases it gets rid of it altogether. So definitely recommend that you have something on hand that if you need it, you can use it. All good. Everyone's favorite topic, pooping. So something you don't realize necessarily, and I definitely didn't know this because no one told me, and I wish that I would have known this, is that for each mature follicle your body grows, your ovaries grow 1.5 to 2 centimeters per follicle. So your ovaries typically aren't that big, and when they're getting bigger and bigger, it's starting to compress other organs a little bit, and it's feeling uncomfortable, and you're just very sore. And normally when you go to the bathroom, you have the ability to bear down a little bit and have a successful bowel movement. Not so much when you are going through IVF stimulations. The ability to bear that pressure down is almost unbearable. So what I suggest is speaking to your doctor potentially about starting a stool softener while you are in the process of leading up to your egg retrieval. And on the plus side, they actually do advise that you take a stool softener following your egg retrieval, because the anesthesia that they can administer can often lead to constipation, so you're kind of just getting ahead of the game on that one. And hey, who doesn't love a good feeling poop? Am I right? Okay. Number 8, the egg retrieval itself is actually not that bad. So if you are lucky in the sense that you don't have anything like endometriosis or any scarring in the uterus or around your ovaries, then the egg retrieval should be fine. Of course, there are risks to any surgery, and this is no exception to that rule. However, they put you under a local anesthetic for about 30 minutes. The whole egg retrieval takes about 30 minutes, depending on how many follicles you have. And then that's it. You kind of wake up, they give you some crackers, you chill out, and then you're good to go. But not by yourself. You don't drive yourself home following that. You need someone else to drive you home. And then you go home and take a nap, and it's great. Number 9. I didn't realize that this is kind of back to earlier what we were saying with time frames, that your period can show up 2 days to 2 weeks following your egg retrieval. Mine came 5 days later, and because we didn't have our embryos back from genetic testing, we ended up having to miss the next cycle, which has pushed us back a few weeks, which all in all isn't the biggest deal. But you cannot use a tampon for 1 to 2 weeks following your egg retrieval, so be sure to have pads handy or something like Modi Body or Thinx underwear that you're comfortable, and be ready to have the heaviest period of your life, because that uterine lining got really nice and thick for that egg retrieval, and it's just gonna be what it's gonna be. And last but not least, the results. Each clinic here is different, so you need to go into that understanding that each clinic is going to be different. And that means that some clinics will call you day 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 as your embryos are developing. My clinic called me day 1 to tell me how many had officially started to become embryos, but then they didn't call me until day 5 to tell me how many had made it to the blastocyst stage, and then again on day 6 and 7. Clarify this with your clinic before you begin, so you have a very clear understanding of what your timeline is going to look like for results, so you don't have to sit there panicking hoping that they're going to call you when in fact they aren't actually going to call you for 5 days. I hope you found that these tips were helpful, and if you yourself are in the process of going through IVF, I am rooting for you and hopeful for you that it will be a pleasant, well, not so much pleasant, but a positive experience, and that you will have a great outcome and eventually have that baby in your arms. Bye guys, thanks again, and if you like this video, please hit subscribe.